All right, now we're going to go over the maintenance on our MT100s, our Bobcats. We have 2 of these currently in our fleet. Super simple machines, can be utilized in a lot of tight, narrow areas to do demo with concrete, dirt removal. Again, this thing, just like the skid steer, has a ton of attachments that can go on the front of this to utilize to, you know, from a breaker to an excavator to a standard bucket, as well as we have custom made apparatuses for our drive heads to do helical pile installations. All right, so first things we're going to do is the maintenance on this and check it. You can come to the back. It has a little latch door here. Now, this little latch door is going to give you access to your hydraulic fluid and your battery. Need a little bit more hydraulic fluid in there, but everything else looks good. And then your other area that you're going to be able to do the maintenance is right up front here. Another latch compartment, and you actually have a little stick here. You want to be a little bit careful just because that wire could get caught, and last thing you need to do is rip that apart. So you have your fan for your radiator here to keep your engine cool. You have your air filter here. Now to open your air filter, we're going to lift the latch and twist, and it'll come out. Now, see it? And that's what your air filter looks like. This thing probably needs to be cleaned. Has a little bit of dust in there, but nothing too crazy. And just like the skid steer and the Mini X, it also has an internal filter that needs to probably be cleaned out as well. Now to put all this stuff right back, it slides right back in there. You may have to twist it a little bit, but it will eventually go. Now this one is going to line up, and you're going to twist lock, and you can hear it click, and you're good to go after that. The next thing you're going to check is your coolant for your machine. And as we can see on this one, we need to add some coolant. It needs to be between the 2 lines here to make sure it's in optimal condition. Your diesel fuel tank is going to be right here in the front as well. Twist it off, and you'll be able to put in your fuel. Now the last thing that we're going to check is the motor oil. And to find it, it's actually kind of hidden down here a little bit, right behind the coolant container. And it'll come out like this, a little dipstick. Take it out. And try to hit it back in the hole, all the way down. And then back out to see where we're at with motor oil. We are good to go with fluid or oil amount, but it could probably use a good changing. And then back in it goes. And that's the most basic stuff that you need to check on your Bobcat every time that you take it out, and every day, just to make sure that you have the fluid and everything's going to be in optimal condition to make sure you don't have any downtime on your project. Now to release this, pull your lever back out, make sure you don't catch that wire again, and just lock it in. All right, some quick little maintenance guide stuff that you can do to prevent different things and just keep your machine looking clean and new is if you spill, this is more than likely not oil, this is more than likely diesel that was spilt while fueling. If you spray that off right away, you're probably not going to catch all the extra mud and debris and stuff that sits on here. And then when this thing gets brought back, we need to power wash it, clean everything up, so it actually looks and stays in a very functional, very new, top-notch condition. Now we're going to come back and get ready to go ahead and start this machine up. Now all your controls are going to be on the back side of the machine. And your platform here is actually where you're going to be standing to operate the machine. So the first thing we're going to do is get on our machine and turn our key. Again, just like the skid steer, we're going to let it get itself warmed up. Turn the key, it'll start, and then you're good to go. This middle lever here controls your throttle to make your engine go faster or slower. Your right hand controls your bucket up and down. And then if you move it back and forward, up and down, left and right, move your bucket, tilt your bucket forwards and backwards. Your left hand is going to actually control your entire movement of the machine. So it's almost like a joystick, a universal joystick, that if you push one way, it's going to pull you that way. If you pull backwards, it's going to pull you backwards. So whichever direction you want to move, it will automatically do it. You don't need to have another controller like the Mini X or anything like that. Pretty easy to operate and move around. Now, if you had a hydraulic piece of equipment on the front of this little lever right here would actually control that. So you just pull it up and down to run your hydraulic, typically with a helical installation, forward and backwards. It'll run your helicals into the ground, and then you can go ahead and disconnect and you're good to go. And that is essentially everything on this machine. Pretty basic. To shut it down, again, you're going to want to put your bucket all the way down, so that way you're stable, and then just go ahead and turn the key. Now, one thing that you can see, this machine's not very wide. So you have way more stability going forwards than you do going sideways, like on a hillside or things like that. So you just gotta keep that in mind. These things can tip, they can roll relatively easily because they just don't really have a wide wheelbase like the Mini X and the skid steer. So if this thing does end up rolling or it gets put over on its side, it can easily be fixed. Do not start it though. Every time a engine gets upside down or on the side, all that oil and all that fluid goes into the actual motor and the heads. So we need to let that thing sit, let all that fluid drain back out, and then you can go ahead and start it. Usually it takes anywhere from 6 to 12 hours to get all that fluid back out just to be safe. If you don't, the chances of you bending rods because of excess pressure and fluid is going to be super high, and a new motor is about 10 grand.